From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
Flory, why don't we start with you introducing yourself and tell us a little bit about your family, where you came from, where you were born. Begin at the beginning.
Well, let's go to Sarajevo.
Let's go to
Sarajevo is a beautiful, beautiful city. And I was born, shall I tell you?
Please.
1926. Long time ago? Oh, well, you know, time goes fast. Huh? Sarajevo, when I was born, was actually full of Sephardim, the Spanish Jews. They traveled from Spain when they were ready to leave, which they didn't have too much time. Turkey, Salonika, Greece, Bosnia, Bulgaria. We were Bosnians. And that takes us back to 17th century. They thought that before they were in these other countries, Mediterranean. All in all, Sarajevo was known as Aki Yerushalayim because it is so full of the refugees.
Aki Yerushalayim.
Aki Yerushalayim.
Here is
yes.
Jerusalem.
No, but it was called Chico Yerushalayim.
Chico.
Yeah, a small Jerusalem filled with refugees from many years ago. The time came where there were just too many Sephardim, and they were told, go to the nearby little towns, and I'm sure they'll receive you, and maybe you can start a beautiful life, the same as Sarajevo. So they did. And my family ended up in Vlasenica, a small town. You were there, so you remember. And started a family, my great-grandfather, with 3 sons, on horses, reached Sarajevo and started life there. They actually developed a brand new Sephardic Jewish community, which lasted all the way till this year, as you saw, which is unfortunately the end of that.
Tell us just the name of the family, and this was the people who told the Jews to go to other places from Sarajevo. These were Turkish officials, right? This was
well,
under the time
they
of the
looked
Ottoman.
very Turkish.
This was the Ottoman Empire, right?
That's right. They carried the looks and also what they did as refugee newcomers, usually on a horse, usually buying little things and going house to house, selling. And one did with the other, what the other did, which end up in that big marketplace that you saw. The same idea of doing handwork and any kind of art that you could sell. See? So the family just went on and on to me, Flory. I was born in Sarajevo. So that is more or less how we started our Sephardic life in Bosnia.
And the family name was?
The family name was Altaračs, which comes as Alta Rasa, proud who we are.
The old race, or the
Alta, old race, Rasa is race. And all in all, continued living, raising children. One died, one was born, children were born. 2 of my generation, and went on to the Second World War.
What are some of your earliest memories of the time growing up in Sarajevo and also in the village that the Vlasenica, the village
Believe
your
it
family
or
lived in?
not, the first thing that comes to my mind, and I don't believe it myself, in school, the teacher who loved me a lot faced me and said, why don't you always speak two languages? Why can't you just speak Serbo-Croatian? She didn't understand. And a lot of this that happened all through years is something that lack of knowledge. Why do we speak at home Ladino? Sure, she's right. You're living in Bosnia and our language is Serbo-Croatian. She didn't know that this whole section of the Vlasenica that was all together as a little ghetto. Why? They had something in common. They want to continue. They want to continue something that is so precious to them. The women alone had a mission, and that's mostly las nonas, the grandmothers, to teach a woman what it means to be Sephardic. Why do we have to continue? It's our background and has to be our future for our children. Is it right? Is it wrong? Who knows? We've gone through so many problems continuing. But it is something inside your corazon works that you don't even have the control.
So your
So the
family
Nona of the
continued their culture and the traditions that they brought from what
Spain
was
and
for them the
Portugal.
old country.
Spain and Portugal.
And a
The
lot of that was
heritage.
the language, embodied in the language.
The language was the first. I would come home from school with my Serbo-Croatian speaking friends and singing folk songs of Bosnia that were beautiful. It was in our hearts too. So we were dual. See, we knew where we could be in one way and where we could be the other way. That matches. It's still that they like you, even if you speak two languages. So I had this a little bit to explain, but this was so many years ago. I didn't even know that myself. It wasn't so interesting. A child. I mean, you know what you're living that minute.
And that time where you were in school and you're speaking two languages, this is in the village of Vlasenica, yes? And you were living mostly with your grandmother?
I'm leaving
And your
Nona. I
grandparents?
might as well learn Nona because
No.
Nona will be all over the place. I was very close to her. As all the Nonas, they were the mavens, know-how. How would you say maven?
They were
And
the
know-how.
VIPs, they were the important
Knows it
people.
all,
They were
knows
the
it all.
center of the family, right?
Knows it all and can teach you
Mhm.
all. Now, the funny part of this that I'm telling you is that some Nonas are not so smart. So that family was not a very smart family because the leader is the one who made you smart or you stay dumb, huh? So sometimes naturally you have the feeling of learning fast, knowing a lot. Sometimes you don't. So there were family, the buena familia. The kid comes from a good family. Why? Because of Nona. So Nona was always blamed for many, many things. And if you want to know something and you ask your mother, the mother would say, habla con la Nona. Ask Nona. It was always that power that the older woman had. And that mission was a mission well expected or accepted. Ooh, that's hard.
Some of each.
There are two words that are very similar. And if you mix them, you're in trouble.
So your Nona was the center of your family, and there was a big family.
It was a big family, 7 daughters.
No sons.
Las tías. Now that is another. I can start telling you all about Las tías. You know, a
Talk
day
about
or
the
two.
family and how important that
Day or
was.
two, I might finish, because each tia was able to do certain different things, like on Hanukkah. Every present was a homemade stuff. There was no run to the store and buy. You would start making presents, knitting, painting, cooking. Everything was done by hand. It's Vlasenica. It's a small village. So I remember if one of my cousins would wear a sweater and the sleeves were very short. Tia Luna made that. See, we knew that she always would miss something as knitting. Or if you take something like a pair of pants, Tia Clara, she usually, always, for some reason, always made them short, see. So these are the good memories. See, I came to America, thank God, I love this country, with suitcase full of memories. I always say that, because that's just how I felt. There was not too much in the suitcase, really, but there was a lot here. And you know how it is. In this country, there is a lot of lectures, a lot of beautiful events that people talk and read their poetry. I threw all my songs into, memories, threw all my memories into songs. And that's why you are playing the guitar with so many songs, because I carry them with me, and you are maybe continuing carrying big songs and my apprentice and so forth.
And a lot of the songs that you learned as a child were songs that your grandmother sang, that Nona, your Nona, sang to you, and in the family situation, and the family itself
The whole family
was very musical.
They were all singers. Everything that we did was Il Dio benedice. The God gave you that feeling, the strength and the feeling to carry through your music. And why am I doing this? Hey, I'm 90. Don't tell that to anybody. It's enough, it's time. But this was life. This is inside. And I would say it's Nona. Anything that comes out good is Nona. Sometimes you can make mistakes. You say, well, Nona didn't feel good that day, If you put a little bit of humor, like salt to make the food good, it works better.
You've said many times a saying of your Nonas about singing. What
About
is it?
singing? She always mixed singing into anything. You don't feel good, canta. Can you just start singing? You don't feel good, your stomach hurts. She believes in the song. She was a midwife. 12 o'clock in the morning, the door would always, Berta, her name was Berta. Berta Altaračs. Vieni, il figico sta viniendo. This is an old Spanish, Castilian Spanish, Castellano, 15th century. And it sounds very much like modern Spanish, only it's a little crooked, a little bit changed. Maybe Nonas did that, I don't know. But let's not always blame her, poor thing. So the child would say, Berta, Berta, the sun's coming. They wanted sons. I mean, it had to be a boy. Not very happy the family was if there was no son. Who's going to do all the work? Who's going to have a little store? Everything was the men, so they needed men. Men prayed. So she would come in, run, get all the schmattes, as they would call it, and we would run to get her tambourine. And imagine the poor mom, she's having in labor and she was sing. So that's a scene that I always. We would go with her.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
Yeah, we would go with a helper. Take all that stuff with her. Or, I mean, she was very much into kashrut, kosher. Everything had to be, I mean, more than kosher. I don't know what she didn't make it more. Once in a while, one of the grandchildren would mix the knife that is, what did she call them? She called them, not pesadika, no. She would call them di carne e di queso, all right? God forbid you mix it.
Carne, meat.
If you mix the two, we all would run to get her shovel. And she would go and go deeper and deeper and deeper. And then we would have to burn it.
Do you remember the first song that you learned from Nona?
No, I really don't remember. There were so many songs.
But you still sing some of the songs.
I
that
sing
you
her songs.
learned.
I sing her Pesach songs, the Hanukkah songs, Este pan de la fricción, you know, this bread, the affliction. These are the things that stay there. I don't know where, but boy, it stays there. I'll never lose it. And luckily, I'm able to teach. So I have the apprentice and many friends and students who really want to learn these things, and I'm very happy about that. Very happy.
Well, let's talk. So you're a little girl. You're growing up, and you're part of the time you're in the village of Vlasenica with the Altaračs family that was so important. They had a lot of shops around the town square, right? And,
Yes.
There's a very settled life there of many centuries of Jews, the Sephardic Jews, carrying on their traditions. And then it's the 1930s. Okay, so you're now 10, 11, 12.
Mm-hmm.
Things are changing drastically around you in
Changing drastically is just being kind. It
That's
was
an
worse then, and I don't really think we have to go through all these beginnings for children.
Right.
The children were not aware of what is really to be Jewish. In their way, this is what they are. They speak at home, especially to Nona, your Jewish language. They called it a lingua de los judíos, the Jewish language, which was not, we know. The first, as I remember, the first time that I remember that were, I don't know how to tell you this in English, that you are Jewish and you don't even know you're Jewish. But this is the feeling. This is who we are because that's all we see around us. The feeling of the Nona and the mothers you were born with. So there was no way to expect that people would expect you to be different. You're like everybody around you. And you come to believe by hearing it so much. You're different. And this is why you speak another language at home. And the first thing that hit me, because I guess my parents were very careful, loving, not to hurt you by telling you you are not liked, be careful, all the things that hit you, and hit you quite heavy. The teacher comes, the first day I remember, the Germany came into Zagreb, where we lived then. The streets were full of songs. When the German army would come, they would march with beautiful songs. Very pretty. What was the one that I know so well? It will come back to me. Lily Marlene. That was the song that the first time I heard power. We were all hanging on the windows looking down. Power. I saw my parents' faces were not, bravo. No, they were on the other side mentally. I loved the song because I was already an accordionist, playing always accordion. My father came home that day, white as a sheet. But before that, in the morning, the teacher in school said, Flory Jagoda, Stern, Kohn, Maxim, don't come to school anymore. You don't have to come to school anymore. Oh, hooray! We said we'll go to the beach, we'll go swimming. We will look at each other. Who knew that you cannot come to school anymore? That day, when I came home for lunch, my father comes in running, all sweated and white. We have to leave. Where are we going? We live in Bosnia, very happy. Good friends, good neighbors. We had Muslim neighbors, Catholic, Orthodox, Greek Orthodox. We went to the same school. We played, and the women would sit in front of the house on the steps with the babies, visiting, talking. The men had stores, one next to the other. You saw them in Sarajevo. Neighbors selling, buying. I mean, the regular life as I remember it. So where are we going?
Let me just interrupt for 1 second for the
Please
chronology. Do you remember what year that was? Was it 1940?
That was a year before. Was it a 41? I think 41. We can look. I have all. I'm not good in dates now.
So this was the.
I have everything written down.
So you're living your life and sort of without any awareness that other things were, other forces were coming, and suddenly outside forces come in the shape of the German army, and everything changes.
But all that I'm telling you was right in my house. The family, the parents, the dad, mom, they were very careful not to talk about hate. Hate. That's what did the whole thing, the hate. See? So we knew nothing. We loved everybody. Like our children. We are raising children like that. Help, send some help, and so forth. So where was I before? I mean, feel at home.
Your father came in.
The father came. White as a sheet. We have to leave. Oh, where are we going? Happy. Going to Split. Oh, I love Split. I mean, it was, Split's a beautiful city. But you are going alone. Why should I go alone? I'll tell you a story one day, but get ready. What do I take? You take nothing, just your harmonica.
That's your word for the accordion.
Accordion, we could go harmonica, yeah. What do I do with the harmonica? You play all the way till you get to split. You tell your teacher to get all the old songs that you have taken lessons with her. Play. What clothes do I take? You take nothing, just your harmonica. Shoes? The shoes you wear. I mean, these are the words that I so remember. In fact, I wrote a song with that song because it was so meaningful. How am I going to get there? I saw that he was very distant, just telling you what to do. Well, anyway, I did get on a train, and I'd sit down in a compartment. You know, in Europe, it's compartments, not on a train. 6 people, I remember. Right away, it's filled with soldiers, women with chickens, and regular, really train full of people. I started playing, and he said, "You take your harmonica and you sing," because I always used to sing my harmonica. So here we are on a train, going to Split, which I loved, very excited to go. And everybody was singing with me. And I didn't see any tragedy in it at all. I had a good time.
And you were maybe 14, 15 years old?
That's it. You hit it.
Were Jews do you remember, were Jews made to wear the yellow stars?
I have it, in fact, here in my coat pocket.
You had one with you, but you weren't wearing it.
This stopped everything for me from there on. I understood who I am, why am I what I am. And that just went with me all the way through till I came to America.
So suddenly you realize, my God, I'm a Jewish person, and we are having to
I knew exactly
escape.
how far I can go. I knew exactly what I can say. I knew exactly before I left Zagreb, the most painful thing for me that was, because I lived harmonica. I loved that instrument. And I loved Ida, my teacher. I mean, a real connection to another person. I came to my lesson with my harmonica. She's at the door, and she sees the Jewish star. And she said, "No, you're not one of those." Exact words. "Go home." So now I apologize to you because I'm going to cry. I can't hold it. As strong as I am and as funny and silly I can be, this hits it. Not the house, neighbors, none of that. It's that harmonica. And maybe that's why I wrote that song that you accompany me.
Sviraj harmonika.
Sviraj harmonika, because that is the place. So, to continue, I'm sorry I'm crying, but I cannot hold it. I picked up my harmonica, I walked out of her house without saying goodbye. And I adore that woman. I go to the streetcar. We use streetcars all to Zagreb. and get in a streetcar and sit down, and I started crying. I don't even think I understood at that age what that hate will bring. Or I didn't know. I like Lily Marlene. Hey, you know, I had no feeling of being different. A big fat lady was sitting next to me. She saw my star. She saw me crying. She started crying with me.
Okay, so you went to Split, and you're a 15-year-old girl. You're very young, obviously, and what happens? Your parents come separately?
The most important thing is that my daddy told me, give us 2 weeks, we'll be there. We had a Finzi, a family we knew, so they came and picked me up. For 2 weeks, I was at the station all day long waiting for them to come, and 2 weeks already, no dad, no mom. A third week, I think it was Wednesday, here I see them coming down. My father, double size. How'd he get so fat? You know? He had 3 suits under. I know. So we were together. 2 weeks later, announcements, you know, in European cities, out in the middle of the piazza, there's that round piece of stone where all the news come. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Like
what do you call that?
Like a kiosk or something where the newspapers are sold.
It's the middle of the charcia, or middle of the, and then all the news of the day. Everything's written. People standing around and reading. You remember that, or do you see that? Well, there was an announcement. All the newcomers should come to this station. We were scared to death. I mean, scared to death. By then, I knew what fear is. And I held my father's hand at 14, you know, you don't do it anymore. I was scared. Huh? So this is what this I would call a beginning of something that never touched me before. I never heard one ugly word my Nona saying about anybody who is not Jewish. Never. So all these things were little by little coming in and staying there. This is why some of my songs are so sentimental, or this is why I sing this way. I put breath in it because I'm feeling it from way deep. Fear. See, fear. Anyway, so the announcement that all the newcomers, there are too many, there's no room. You have to go further and look to find some kind of place. But for time being, we have 2 choices. Send you to Germans, because they were supposed to send Jews to Germany in their own way. Or we will intern you. We'll put you on an island. Nobody's going to get hurt, but you cannot go anywhere. You're our prisoners on a ship. And we went to island of Korčula. And I'm sorry you didn't see that place. Next one.
Next time. The people who were in charge in Split, were they Italians or Germans?
Italians. Italy was already together.
So the Italian authorities
but
told
they had
the Jews,
different hearts.
The Italians told the Jews they could go to Korčula and not Germany.
Not Germany.
Right.
That is 2 things that they could do. And they were very sincere, really, very friendly. And, I mean, didn't want to, in fact, I would say, we don't want to hurt you. You will live, but we have to leave, Split, too many of you. So we found ourselves on a very pretty island. And today, if you take a cruise, hey, they stop at island. they stop at Korčula. And I usually give them the name of the woman we lived in her house. And she gets all excited. So we're in touch with some people from the Korčula. My mother went first because she was always, she's a kind of a person who does things for you. So she wanted to see where we're going. She did a permission. That's how loose it is. It wasn't, you know, tight and strong. And so she went first. She had a permission and found a little, whatever you want to call it. It was not an apartment. It was not a house. It was a little building, centuries old. You know, islands full of that. And we went to Korčula. We were there for 2.5 years. I don't think I want to go through all life in Korčula because we'll be here till tonight.
But you did, I think you told me that you taught accordion.
I taught accordion.
So
accordion was with me all the time.
That was your sort of lifesaver, sort
yes.
of your
life
raft.
Yes, that was my entrance to new things. And what was the most important, I believed in it. I knew it's going to help me. And what else do you need? So we stayed there. I mean, finally we arrived too, and the rest of them arrived. There was about 200 of us. We ended up with a lot of us. But it was just Korčula. We couldn't get out, and you couldn't travel. But some locals gave us rooms. See, so everybody had a bed or the floor with a mattress or rag or a blanket or whatever. And we stayed there for 2.5 years till the knock on the door. A neighbor, we have to leave, we have to leave. The Germans are retrieving, the war is finished. And let's go. We're going to find some kind of they call it trabacula. It is not a big ship, but you buy food when they come to the island. Mm-hmm. They bring food and vegetables if they have any. So what do you call those? They carry food. They bring
I don't know
food
if there's an
and
equivalent
vegetables.
word, but it's like a little.
It's food.
A boat with
yes.
like a transport boat.
Yes.
Small.
Yes.
I can see it.
Right.
And they would come to the island with fruit and
that's
vegetables
right.
and
usually the
flour.
Greens, a lot of greens and potatoes.
So just a little boat, a small boat.
Small boat, but big enough that we were 31.
31 people.
1 o'clock in the morning, we all ran. A week before, see, I was an accordion teacher, excuse me. Mm-hmm. And I had 6 students, and I have pictures of that. It's very pretty. Their accordion was accordion. Mine was a Pitzlach little one. That's what I played. And everybody would laugh. The teacher has a something very tiny, the little white one I have at home. And we have bigger accordions. They were daughters of the butcher, the baker, the meat. That was the butcher. Mm-hmm. And I brought home oil. Hey, the daughter of the guy that had the store had food, bread. We were living it up. We were having a good time. There was no sadness for some reason, or fear, or I don't know, because it's island away from everything. We were on our own, and I was the accordion teacher. And they would come to my little room that we had. So my father had a permission to go to Split to change my accordion for a bigger one. That's the night it happened. So we lost our daddy. See, he couldn't come back to the island. That was kind of tough, but I mean, I'm not talking about what happened before with discovering the dangers that I'm in, that it could end up terribly. We all got on that tobacco lot. I mean, squeeze one top the other. Half of it was Italian soldiers who were running away. And we all sat on the floor and anywhere you could. And we spent a whole night crossing over to Italy, the Mediterranean. And believe me, that was not pleasant.
It's a rough seas.
Not pleasant
and
at
your
all.
father, so your father at this point he's gone to Split. You and your mother and other Jews and Italian soldiers are leaving Korčula to go in the other direction, to Bari, Italy, was it?
Bari, yeah. Anyway, we stopped in a couple places at midnight and for water, for something. And arrived in Bari about 9 in the morning, starved, scared to death. I mean scared to death. We come to the shore of Bari, and we see women with, I will cry again, because those are the things that hit me, you know, with baskets of grapes.
To greet you.
Grapes.
They were there to greet you.
And there was the heart, the change of the heart that you saw on one side and saw humanity and human people. They were the place where people from all over were running to, because I guess they had a name of good people. I don't know why was always Bari. All the refugees who would be coming every day, refugees coming in from all over the place. So they received us, and I didn't understand. I couldn't believe what's going on. I don't know why they are giving us all this stuff. I had a lot to learn, my God, about people. Here on one side they hate you, and then the other side they're giving you grapes. Huh? That's where you see heart and... All right, but I didn't cry this time.
Not too much.
Finally.
So you're in Bari, and at this point...
I'm in Bari.
By then, had the
They
U.S.
receive
Army
us.
already taken control of that part of Italy, or was it still prior to the...
Italy was in
invasions?
between. The soldiers were running away. See? They were completely in between of, we will be soldiers or I've had it. That type of thing. A man came to us to say, there is a room with a table. There's some clothes there if anybody needs clothes. We can give you clothes, we can give you grapes, but we can't give you a place to stay because all the hotels are bombed. See, it was war. That will have to be up to you. And my mother, Rosa, is crying all the time. She lost her Mihail. She loved her Mihail.
Her husband.
We lost him. See, we left the island. So that was another, living with Rosa was very hard because she just cried all the time. What is next? Everybody is going from house to house. Shack to shack, let's put it this way. I went the first day, nothing worked, and we said we were all in a park. The Bari has a beautiful park with benches. So that was the first night. The next day, everybody's in the park, okay? And everybody comes with different ideas. I think we should do this, we should do that. The city can't help us, so let's not try that at all. So the next day I started going from door to door. My mother stayed in the park crying. And I knocked, I don't know how many. I did speak a little Italian. I forgot to tell you something that is very important. as living in Korčula, there are a lot of people with different knowledges. They started teaching everybody, whatever they can, everybody was teaching. We had Italian lessons too, see, so I knew a little bit of it. And I would just present myself and say we're out of town, and most of it was non c'è un letto. We don't have a bed for you. They meant it, really. Oh, about 4 hours later, as I remember, about 4 hours later, after lunch, which we didn't have, opens the door, and this very giggly, happy fat lady, makeup all over the place. I tell her that my little story. Si, signora, viene, si, signore, si. Full of love and happiness. I don't know, somehow she was in the war too, but there was something about her that was gay, happy. Takes me in, takes me to a little, what did they call it? Letto, not soletto, soletto. Little tiny formal. That was a good place to bring a guest, which was very complimentary to me. So she said, this little seat for your mommy, and we had 2 chairs, and you sit in the 2 chairs with smile and happiness. That's what she looked like, as telling me where we're going to sleep. So that first night was very pleasant, warm, a person who loves. It just gave me a feeling like, hey, the whole world is not the one I left. They're still good people. Slept that night, the middle of the night. I have to go to the bathroom. So I go to the bathroom. There's women running one after another, washing herself. It was a prostitute place. You learn. My mother went later, said, don't you dare go over there. I said, what am I going to do? So that was my first night. Later on, things developed differently. We met people knew people who you should go and talk to. And it became a little more normal, peaceful.
You found another place to stay.
There was a couple of days, but not anymore, because my mother didn't want me to go and see ugly things. The next day, going back to the park, I'm walking with my mother, and I hear the most horrible scream in the morning. The most horrible scream from inside out. There was Michael standing there with my accordion. See? I usually cry, but look, coffee is good, so might as well enjoy the coffee. The family was together.
He found a way to get from Split to
The
Bari.
family's together. Yeah. He was with a bunch of refugees in Split. That's where he stopped. And they told him that a lot of them went across to Italy. So he went with the group. He really didn't know where he's going. And we were together. With him was a little different. I didn't have to do so much. I mean, it was, and Rosa wasn't crying. So all in all, that was a very good reunion. That time you already read news that there is Casa Popolare, popular, that was built for the poor outside of the city of Bari.
Poorhouse.
Right. There were a lot of poor during the war, you can imagine. My father says we go, so we went there, and with his charm, he was very charming and he smiled all the time. I mean, all the time he smiled. He introduced himself, he went to the office. They found a little apartment, 5th floor. And we had our own place. Now, can you imagine this? We had our own place. Nothing in it. But you know, in 2 weeks, everybody brought a rag, brought something, who lived in the apartments. It's about 6 floors. So that was another big happening in life. I mean, we were together. The next thing was, let's find some kind of a place where I could maybe work, because I knew a little bit of Italian. So that was crooked, but that was life. I went to British, and I went to American, and the American, I introduced myself and told him who I am. What can you do? I said, I can type. And it was the biggest lie in the world. So, biggest lie. The worry was, what is typewriter? I mean, what do they have? But on the island, I had lessons of stenography. That's the only thing that God could teach. So I went for an interview, and this very, very charming, warm friend, Captain Evans, redhead. And he sits me, and I start. And he's very patient. I mean it. Very patient. He puts his hand on my shoulder. He says, Flory, I have a better job for you. Now that's hard, okay? He says, we have here a blackboard. And every morning, a corporal is going to bring the report how much salvage we have, the planes. You take that number and write it here. That's your job every day now. Now that was so human. I thought the Italians were the only ones. I'm learning the world. There is a little bit from everywhere you go.
This was the first American you ever met, this Captain Evans?
Captain Evans. He had a laundry. He had a business. I don't know if he's alive. I met Mary, a couple of them I still keep in touch. Not too many though. You know, the hair is age. So
you're about 18 at this point.
Yeah, I was growing all right. And growing, and had nice, great looking hair. You know, tried to look pretty. And so that was a very beautiful experience too. And life started getting its own, what do you call it? A life, not a life as much. What would you use? His own pattern, or I mean, going to work in the morning. My mother would get things from Evans, the blankets, food. I was doing a little bit on the side. I was getting chickens from people, and so on. One day, the door opens, and here comes this gorgeous sergeant. I mean, gorgeous to me. And he was very devilish. I mean, he would come in, and all the girls would comb their hair and look pretty, because Sergeant Jagoda was coming in.
Sergeant Jagoda.
And that is the opening to my happy life. And he noticed me too. You know, I mean, the eyes were going back and forth. But all the girls were after him. I didn't know who he's going to look at first. Anyway, this developed already more serious. And one day he comes to me and said, would you like to go to a dance? I said, I have to ask my dad and mom. Everything was dad and mom. So this worked out. I mean, we continued first just see each other once in a while. The night he came to pick me up, which my parents were already dressed to go because they wouldn't let me go alone at all. You know, that was the wartime. It was Rosh Hashanah. He comes in and sees the Rosh Hashanah book on a table. You can imagine this man away from home, also tough, Ashkenazi Polish Jew. All he did is, he couldn't talk. He couldn't believe it, that this is a Jewish family.
He didn't know you were Jewish.
No, where from? You, from there on, from the school, from all those times, that the harmonica, go away. I learned how to be quiet. I would hear all the time my father say, "Don't tell them you're Jewish, don't tell them. No toques religios." And that's when it started, and with a lot of people that I talk to, they tell me the same thing. They hide. They don't talk, they're Jewish. With some, it stays the lifetime. They never get away from that. See? This is why I brag America constantly.
He's Harry Jagoda, the sergeant, the dashing sergeant, is a Jew from Youngstown, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And he probably didn't even know there were Jewish people like you who were not Ashkenazi, right?
His mother had no way when I told her that I'm Sephardic. What is this? No, she had no idea what it was.
Because Ashkenazi Jews didn't even know
Had
that they
no
were.
idea. Now they do more. It's more out. But I will come and say I'm Sephardic. What is this in Youngstown, Ohio? Had no idea. So all of a sudden I continue being separate a little bit because, well, I can't understand their Yiddish. I mean, they spoke fast. The whole family, fast Yiddish. Luckily, I studied German in Zagreb in high school. Still like German. So I knew I could sort of be in touch with them. The month was April when I arrived to America, and Pesach. And I suffered that I will be away for a holiday. Suffered. I couldn't believe it that I left my parents. See, I left them like children because I spoke Italian. They didn't speak that. Then, well, I'm going over my story and jumping it. If you want it all on equal, we go back to Bari.
Well, I was wondering what language you and Harry spoke together.
English.
You knew some English by then.
Sure.
So
I worked for Evans.
So at this point you know Ladino.
That was home.
Home. You knew
Serbo-Croatian.
Serbo-Croatian.
I born there.
You've learned some Italian on Korčula.
Italian, that's all we spoke.
And then you come to Bari and you're working for the American Army, right? And you're speaking English. So by now
What with the American Army, but my work, daily work, it was all English.
English.
To
And
get lunch. Anyway, going back to the sergeant, everybody knew him as Sergente Bicchio.
Sergente
Didn't sound Italian. So I said, what is this? I mean, this sounds to me like French. So the girl next to me, Carmen, she was from Korčula too. She ran away with us. She said, do you know what Sergente Bicchio means? I said, no. It's big time operator.
BTO.
BTO. And that I didn't find the humor there at all. It's, yeah, that's nice, you know. But I didn't, there was no humor there.
So Sergeant Jagoda
Because I had
was-
no idea what big time operator. But the sergeant, the BTO guy, if the kitchen, they had a wonderful kitchen, good food, didn't have eggs, call BTO. He'll get a plane, he'll fly down to Africa and bring eggs back. I mean, that's, he was very knowledgeable for doing
He
things.
was a wheeler dealer.
Well, that's it.
Wheeler
dealer. All right. Anyway, it came a question of, he really said, would you like to get married and go to America? Wow.
This is
I
after
I
going
really
out
did
one
not-
time to go into the movies with
No.
your parents?
Yeah.
Maybe there
So,
was a little more.
more.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, I
You don't
mean,
have to tell all that.
whenever we saw each other was Rosa and Mihail,
Mm-hmm.
right there. You had no way of having America date. It was not heard anything like that.
But the handsome, dashing Harry saw you and
Oh.
decided this is.
Oh, I'll
this is-
show you the picture. You will see. That
And-
was a handsome kid.
And you were a beautiful,
Oh, I had a
exotic.
lot of curls all over the place.
and you played the harmonica.
Right.
So-
When it came to a question of wedding, he's going to get a rabbi from Naples. He did. He did everything that we needed to make a Jewish wedding. And I have all these pictures. That you can show. It's fun, and you can laugh too.
So
Uh,
you're there, and you marry.
We are
Right there
planning
in
the
Bali.
wedding, but I said to Sergeant Bitio, the stores are closed. There is no fabrics. What am I going to make a gown out of? I want to have a dress. Don't worry. He comes the next day. He brings a parachute. Not a whole parachute, but it filled the whole Jeep. I mean, there was no room. So he said, "Here is your gown." And we went to the seamstress in Bari, and she made me a beautiful gown.
Because the parachutes were silk, right?
Parachute, well, there was no silk, stores were closed.
Right.
It was war, nothing to buy.
But the parachute itself.
The
had been made
parachute is
from-
a beautiful silk. The woman made a whole wardrobe. The whole street, all the girls had some silk. The whole street was like parachute. And it's the most beautiful memory in my life. Beautiful memory. So we planned the wedding. He goes to Naples. He finds a rabbi. He says, "I need a huppah." He got him a huppah.
I hope is the canopy under which
Canopy
Jews
with the
traditionally get
four.
married,
Yeah.
or poles.
His story is that the rabbi, he really comes from Steubenville, and he knew his father. I mean,
Steubenville, Ohio.
Harry is going to tell you about that, his story. So that is more or less my story to you. That everything is gone into songs, because that's all I knew, especially when there is happiness. It had to be a song. Sadness, it has to be a song. Because this Holocaust group that is doing music, the other kind, not Sephardic,
Classical music.
yeah, classical music. They don't have any songs like that, and they would like to have some. I might start tonight. I'm getting old, okay?
Is that through the Holocaust Museum?
It is not, but I'll give you the newspaper. You have to read it. When you take me home, I'll give it to you.
All right, so you married.
So where we are.
You married Harry Jagoda,
I married Jagoda,
Sergeant BTO.
BTO,
Sergeante BTO.
an army band. Had
Played at
beautiful
wedding.
music. The hard part for me was I had to kiss every soldier. I have to kiss a bride. A lot of beer, you know, a lot of drinking there. Well, not easy.
And your parents were fine with this?
We were leaving for honeymoon to Naples, but Naples was completely bombed. We found one hotel. You had to walk over the rocks, and I mean, terrible scenes. Before I left, before I went to my parents to say goodbye, I find Rosa crying. Crying, I mean, I've never seen her cry like that. With a letter in her hand from her brother Lezo, telling her that all the all the Vlasenica family, everybody was massacred, killed, 42 people. That killed her, and never was the same. So that's the place where you went and saw the whole scene. You're the only one, Susan too.
Near the village of Vlasenica, where the Jews of Vlasenica were taken and massacred.
Exactly. To the last Jew in Vlasenica. When I was standing there with the flowers, you remember that scene, the only thing that came in front of my mind is, there's nobody left in Vlasenica. Everybody's gone. That, I think, will stay the rest of my life with me. No matter how lucky and happy I am and loving this country, that scene comes in front of my mind. And I'll never get rid of that.
Just for the record, this massacre happened in 1942,
I have the dates.
April 1942, I think it was, and
41, it could be 45, 44. I have it written, so if you need
42, but about 3 years ago, to 2010, I believe, you were invited to go to Sarajevo for a music festival, but
That's
also at that time a commemorative stone was
I have that too.
erected
In fact,
at
if
the
you
site of
want
the
to
massacre.
show these pictures, would be I wouldn't say beautiful finale, but meaningful finale.
So a stone was
Because everything is
erected,
written, the names.
and it was inscribed with a message saying, here was the site of this massacre,
Yes.
where the family,
Yes.
Altaračs, was.
The most important thing that this story brings to my heart, I have great memories of these 42 people, and they'll be with me, plus the Nona. Anytime I sing, anytime I cry. This is something that I know that there are many, many horrible stories, but each one of them has something that's it's a knife peeking right in your chest, and I don't think that will ever stop. It's just one of those things, as they say. It will go on like that.
Well, let's just skip forward a bit into your life in America. You came here. As I
Now
recall,
you can
told
start
you
me,
came
and
in-
I would feel like I'm exaggerating, but I love every minute of it.
So you,
I love every minute of it. They
So-
gave me life.
because you married an American soldier, it was
Well,
easier
not so
for you
much
to
to be
come-
Joe, as much as the way I was received, the way I was helped, the way. Now, you know, in America, there is a lot of criticism. They want, I think, a little bit more that they should really want, huh? Because they have it all, see? And I criticize sometimes my neighbors. This is not good, that's not good, I don't like this. How about the good things? How about the good things that we have daily And this to me is a song, really a song, because the prettiest things that can happen to you is to sing a song free, huh? Free. Like it's there, it's for me. No?
So you and
It's
your
more.
you and your mother and your father.
I brought them
Came-
to this
survived.
country 2 years
So
later.
You came from one of the greatest catastrophes in the history of
I
the-
would
the
say
known
so.
world,
I
and
would
you
say
came
that.
to America, where Sergeant BTO and others helped you establish
Oh, sure.
a very
I
rich
wouldn't
and
say
rewarding
it
life.
is he who did it all for us.
Mhm.
No, depends what you believe in.
You brought something.
Who
of your
do
own.
you believe in?
You brought your suitcase full of memories.
That's right.
And how did that? Tell us how that played out for you in the coming years, in your time of establishing this new life, family, children, home.
Everything was with music.
And
The kids, they all, as you saw it at the concert, they all sing.
but how did that happen? Because you got here, you had your
Harmonica.
and then you eventually you learned guitar, and you start to, the memories start to come back to you of the singing, the music.
Everything comes back.
So how did that? Can you talk a little bit about how that came?
How did it happen? The first thing that had to happen is for me to go home and really see this is the truth.
You went back.
Going back. I went back. I have everything filmed if you ever wanted it. I went back first house to house.
Do you remember what year that
Todo
was?
Sihuaran.
Do you remember when that was?
No, I haven't written.
Okay.
Don't worry about the
Right.
dates.
Okay.
Todo Sihuaran is the name of the song. I think it's one of the songs that these people could use as a Sephardic song, because I want you to read this little letter when we come home. Don't go home without reading it.
Todo Sihuaran, where
Todo
have they gone?
Sihuaran, they're all
They're all
gone. The song starts really as I'm walking from door to door, house to house.
In Vlasic.
My family in Vlasenica, and the picture is there, some. And all I'm constantly going, todo Sihuaran. They're all gone. Then where are the children with the weddings? Todo Sihuaran. And I want to record this with an echo. Todo Sihuaran. And that trio that Laurie has a gorgeous, I want three-way harmony. Soft. Soft and hurting. Not happy. Because anywhere I went from house to house, todo Sihuaran. Nothing there left. So this is one song that is Ladino, and I would like that to be accepted with the classical group. Sing it. It's a story. It's here. Take it out. I have to take it out sooner or later because it hurts being blocked in a book or a box. And you probably going to help me with that.
I'd be happy to. Can you talk a little bit about, there came a point where you started to sing again and play music and write your own music. Can you talk a little bit about how that happened for you? You started
Well, the only thing I can really use as is word memories. I mean, the other survivors, they have the lectures but memories, because they live with you, they sleep with you. You wake up all of a sudden. And I went through a point after Laurie was born, I think, that I would wake up at night scared. And the BTO guy, who had all the answers to that, says, well, let's go over there. You find out for yourself, then you'll have peace. So, and that time he was starting to businesses or whatever to make a living, to raise a family. He is going to buy tickets to Europe. But we did, and we went to exactly to Vlasenica, from the airport to Vlasenica. And the first stop was definitely Nona's house. Nothing there. A Muslim woman, very friendly, received us. She knew of us, she did not know us. And she said, no, nothing is here, there's nothing left here, because the story goes from other people that once they killed them all, the place was full of people grabbing things, taking anything they could. They did that to every Jewish house. Story of war, honey, that I understand. Went to every Tia's house, the aunts. Todos se fueron. And this is how it went through Vlasenica. Todos se fueron. They're all gone. And where are the weddings? With the young men playing tamburica. Very alive truth. See? So this is the song that I definitely want to come out with as a finale, more or less.
But this was this experience of going back to Vlasenica, then, if I'm understanding you
the second time was
that
with
sort
you.
of, right, but this initial time was something that helped get you started in writing more music about
Yes.
the family and the life
Memories.
you had.
Every holiday, I wanted to have my own holiday.
So you began composing
So that's
your
why
own
you have
songs.
Ocho Candelitas.
Right.
And you have
Las
Simchat
Tias.
Torah, Las Tias. All these songs are memories of holidays. All of them.
Dia de
Purim, Pesach, Pesach Halamano, all of them. And you were playing them for years already.
So through the songs that you composed, you've composed many songs.
Many songs. I
and
think
you've
it's about
also-
19 or 20, I don't know.
And you've also remembered lyrics and put music to them, or remembered tunes and put
Well,
words to them.
I think since you've played background to this, the songs where I put my heart in, and you know the songs, those are the songs that really have meaning. And that's why I can put so much feeling in it. I can't sing these songs without feeling. It doesn't fit.
And what was your grandmother's saying? If you don't feel it here,
Exactly.
don't sing.
Exactly.
Can you
So,
say that in Ladino?
well,
Si no canto.
y-
How did she say it?
you mean sing the songs
No,
that
no.
you have heart in it?
Right. So how did she say that phrase? Si no
Oh,
canto.
canta con amor, canta con corazón, el corazón, heart. No cantes sin corazón. Don't sing if you cannot put your heart in it. Well, it's all very connected. The other word, in one way, I'm very lucky that I can express my pain through a song. I will not cry. I hate crying. And I know when I'm talking story, when the crying is ahead. I know it's not that I want to. It's like electric, that you just put it on. Just comes on crying. So I'm telling you in advance, now don't get upset, now I'm going to cry. I don't want to. I think time in my life at 90, it's time that I become a normal human being like everybody. Get away from sadness and get away from these stories. I'd like to be free if I ever get there.
So documenting, recording this one song that you haven't recorded,
Todas se fueron.
would be a kind of
Oh, that has to go out. I
That kind
just,
of monument to your
I came to a
legacy.
point now that I say, you have to, but at the beginning I say, why come out with so much sadness? Don't sing that Todos se fueron. But that's the story. They're gone. Every door you open and you go in, where are they? Then I say, the children who used to play, the mothers who used to pray. I repeat, todos se fueron. See? So if I can do that and finish my mission of life, leave it. Some people don't like sad stories. I don't blame them. You have to feel the pain to sing it, talk it, sing it. See? And it's all over the world. It is not just the Flory Jagoda suffered. It is just one of the people, survivors, that loved music and found the music soothing. That's what I want. And understand me when I start crying. Oh, I hate it. But this is how it left me. And I love you. And that's it.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.